In this video, we will be learning how to play Uno Golf. This is an Uno-ified version of the classic card game Golf, and it's super fun to pick up and play. Let's get started with the tutorial. First, take the deck and deal 6 face-down cards to each player. The player to the left of the dealer goes first. The remaining cards are placed face down in the center of the table. This becomes the draw pile. Each player then takes the 6 cards they got and places them face down in a 2x3 grid, like so. And then, before the game begins, each player is allowed to flip up 1 card from their pile. Say I want to flip up the top right card, I could flip this card face up. The goal of the game is to score the least number of points possible, and you can do that by changing the cards in your pile. To do this, the first player draws a card. If they like this card, they can either replace a face-up card on their pile or replace a face-down card on their pile and put this card in its place. Let's say I want to replace this bottom left card. I would then choose to put the 1 here and then flip up this card in the bottom left. This card would then go to the discard pile, which is formed right next to the draw pile. It is then the next player's turn. After the first turn, players are allowed to take the top card of the discard pile. Let's say the player to my left really likes that 2. They could choose to take this 2 and put it in their pile and then discard whatever they replace. But if they don't like the top card of the discard pile, they can just choose to draw instead. Now let's talk about reducing your score, because you can do this in ways other than just having low numbers on your board. There are 2 main ways to make your columns turn into 0 points. If you have matching cards in columns, it'll cancel those columns out and make them score 0, even if the face value of that card is 2 or 5 or whatever. For example, if the 2 cards in your column are the same color, this column cancels out to be worth 0 points. Or if the 2 cards in your column are the same number or face value, the column would cancel out to be 0 points. But this wouldn't be an Uno game without the action cards, and trust me, there are plenty. In this game, we see the return of the skip, the draw 2, and the reverse cards, along with a special new card that we'll get to later. These cards are activated when they are discarded, whether that be from your pile or when you draw them and choose to discard them. When they are discarded, the next player in turn order is affected by them, except for with this card, but we'll get there in a second. I also want to make note that each of these cards has a face value on them. For example, the reverse is worth 10 points, and that score will be reflected in the corners of the card. Let's start with the reverse card. When this card is discarded, the turn order is reversed. Say we are going clockwise, the next player in turn order would then be the player to my right instead of the left. Play would then continue in that order until another reverse is discarded. Next up is the skip card. When this card is discarded, the next player loses their turn. They don't have to draw, they don't have to do anything else, they just lose their turn. Next up is the draw 2 card. When this card is discarded, the next player has to take the top 2 cards of the library and place them face down in their pile, adding 2 more cards to their column, like so. Our fake player here now has to deal with 2 more cards in their pile, which can be devastating, especially near the end of the game. And last but certainly not least is the double draw 2 card. I had to zoom out my tutorial just to show you what this thing does. Essentially, this card is twice as good as a draw 2. When it is discarded, you can either choose 2 players to add 2 new cards to their pile, so essentially 2 draw 2s, like so. Say for example, this player and this player were the 2 that got chosen to get more cards in their pile, they would each add 2 cards to their pile. Or you can choose to go down the much meaner route and give 1 player 4 new face down cards. Let's say this player gets all 4 of them. I do want to make note that unlike the draw 2 card, the next player does not lose their turn, even if you give them cards from the double draw 2. When the draw 2 is played, the next player loses their turn and draws 2 cards, so just keep that in mind when you're playing. In order for a round to be finished, one player must flip all of their cards face up. Let's say this player has 5 cards flipped face up, and they draw a card they like, say a 0. They could replace the last card in their pile, discard it, and then every player after them gets 1 more round to draw 1 card or take 1 from the discard pile. But after those players' turns are done, the round is over. If you have any remaining face down cards, such as this player, you flip them face up. These cannot be swapped from your pile in any way. They are simply just going to be added to your score. Then, players add up the total on their boards. Remember, columns with the same color are canceled out, columns with the same number are canceled out, but every other card on your board could be worth points. For our fake player over here, they get 0 in this column because these 2 have the same face value, 2 in this column, and 4 in this column. This player scored 6 points. For our other player, we have 0 in this column because they're the same color, 0 in this column because they're the same face value, 0 in this column because they're the same face value and color, 0 in this column because they have the same color, and 0 in this column because they have the same face value. This player, despite all their setbacks, managed to score 0 points. Then the round is complete. Scores are written down, all of the cards are collected, and a new hand of 6 cards is dealt to each player. Whoever has the lowest score after 9 rounds wins the game. And that's how to play Uno Golf. I hope this video was helpful to you, as I really enjoy this game, not only the base game that you would play with regular cards, but also the Uno-ified version. If this video was helpful to you, consider subscribing as it would help me a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.